This time on TNO, we have the Larry Pendleton Mini Hunter by Cold Steel. The Pendleton Hunter's little brother. Actually, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even really put this into a hunting category. I find this knife is actually more of a fixed blade EDC type option, or what I typically use it for is as a utility knife at work. Now, it's made from VG1 steel, which I'd say is a little bit tougher, a little bit more corrosion resistant than AUS-8, let's say. But I do find it significantly more difficult to sharpen than an AUS-8 blade. And by no far stretch of the imagination is it rust-proof. And rust resistance is a consideration for me because I do occasionally hang out in a marine environment. Now, I guess it's my personality, but I have a tendency to occasionally not use the right tool for a job. Now, I couldn't tell you exactly what type of stainless steel these props are made out of, but I did descale 4 of these and still didn't have to sharpen the knife again. Now, mind you, it did lose a little bit of its edge, but it was still more than plenty enough to continue to use as a utility knife. One of the other reasons that this thing really shines as a utility knife is the sheath setup that it comes with. It has the SecureX sheath, which is just plastic. It's not a Kydex sheath, but it's riveted. It's of good construction. And it's basically, for all intents and purposes, a double retention sheath. If you just push the knife into it, it will retain. Then you can hold it upside down and shake it around, and it's not going to dislodge. And then on top of that, you also have the ability to put a snap around the top of the handle. This is really useful, especially if you're working places where you don't want to drop these things, and you can just easily and quickly slide it into the sheath with one hand, and it's ready to come back out in a few seconds. This is also the second reiteration of this knife, which uses the Crayex handle. It's a polymer rubberized type material. It's got good grip and it's comfortable. But the Crayex actually outperforms the previous generation's Kraton handle, which had a tendency when coming into contact with solvents and whatnot would actually dissolve. Now to get into some specs on this thing. In the States it runs for around $45 to $50. In Canada we're paying around $60 for it on average. It weighs 2 ounces. It has about a 3-inch blade, and the entire knife is only 6 5/8 inches overall. It really truly is a tiny, tiny knife. If I actually could compare it to some other knife, it would probably be in the same size as an SOG mini auto clip. Actually, to be honest with you, I actually think this might even be a hair smaller. Well, the knife's name does have Hunter in it, so we're going to get it out into the bush, do some hunting with it, do some bushcrafting, work with it, see how it holds up in the same situation that you'd use any other hunting knife. I, right off the get-go, don't like the fact that there isn't much of a belly to the blade. So we got Rocky here, and we're going to give him a whirl to start skinning him out here. Now, I'm kind of particular when it comes to skinning squirrels to begin with because I don't like squirrel hair in my squirrel meat. It's a long story, but nonetheless, I usually just split them out for the most part and then peel off the 2 halves and then cut through the joints. Now, this knife hasn't got any issue poking a hole into the hide of the squirrel, and for anybody that hasn't gone squirrel hunting, squirrel does have a pretty tough hide to it. And it slices right through the tendons and the joints without any issues at all. Here you can get a good look at the SecureX sheath. It is well built, and I really wish it had other means by which to attach to different types of equipment, let's say molly, or be able to mount the knife inverted. At work, I especially have a need to have a knife that mounts to different types of gear, especially in an inverted fashion. Now, I'm an average-sized guy, and the handle of this knife does not fit completely in my hand, which did give me a little bit of issue when I was trying to use it as a skinning knife. I would, though, highly recommend it if you're looking for a fixed-blade EDC option, or if you need a utility knife at work that'll take a lot of wear and tear. As always, guys, I appreciate you stopping by and checking out the videos, and until next time.